Hey guys, Jpalm here with a quick automation tutorial using Python for Microsoft Rewards, which is a program offered through Microsoft Bing, allowing users to earn credits and earnings through their daily searches and activities that you can put towards Amazon gift cards and Best Buy and Target and a wide variety of stores. I know a lot of people would probably use GitHub, but I guess you're, going to YouTube so that you can see how the program works, what the functions do, and maybe they're not really documented correctly through the comments. But yeah, let's just get started. So I'm going to be using the basic installed Python shell. So you can use PyCharm. I have it installed here as well, but I would prefer to do it here since, I don't know, maybe I'm still a novice, obviously. So yeah. So we're going to start a new file, if I can click on it. All right, I'll just call this Microsoft. All right, so the first thing you're going to need is Selenium, which you can get by using pip install. But if you're using it from the command prompt, it has to be in the right directory. So you have to navigate to where your Python is installed. And you can do that using the cd command. So if I were to, want to go back, I would use cd with a /, and that's how you get to your root. And of course, you can see the directory, so you can know the names of your folders if you want to do it all through here, but that's kind of gratuitous. You can just copy it from your documents. So yeah, but make sure you get that done first. And it's best to learn pip install on your own, since that's definitely helpful for a lot of third-party libraries and packages that you'll definitely be using later on down the line. So yeah, let's get started. So the first thing I want to do is import those statements, and I'm not just going to be importing the entire thing, so you have to use specific import statements like from Selenium, and I'm going to copy this because we'll be using this pretty often. Sorry for the loud clicks, this isn't the best keyboard. We're going to import the WebDriver, which is what allows you to navigate the website, which is, Bing Rewards in this case. Microsoft Rewards, sorry. I'm still used to the old name. We'll be using WebDriver. Oh, I think that's spelled wrong on over here. I need glasses. And I'm not the fastest typer, so I wouldn't mind if you watch this on a faster speed. Look, I spelled common wrong up here, so let's fix that. Oh my gosh. Alright, so as for the specifics, I would recommend reading up on the Selenium documentation, since they would describe it way better than I would attempt to. From Selenium, we are going to import more support drivers and libraries. .support. Expected conditions. .web. I think this is the last one from Selenium. Common. .keys. Alright, I think that's it. And of course, if there's any errors, then I'm probably going to start with the import statements. So we're also going to import two more things. We're going to import the random library, and we're going to import the time library. We're importing random because this is how you mix up your searches. I mean, I'm being overly cautious, so you don't necessarily have to have random, but I would really recommend having time. This is also me being really cautious, but I wouldn't want Microsoft detecting that you're using a bot, and, like that will get your account banned. So I have it randomized, not only the numbers used for the search, which you'll see in a second, but I also have it randomized the time that's used, so that, like it's more realistic, I suppose. Like, it's still a bit odd, but it's more along the lines of a normal Microsoft Rewards searcher, a user. Anyway, now we'll be using the Chrome driver, which you'll have to install. Depending on your version of Chrome, which we'll be using for this tutorial, get that specific version, which you can do by looking at the About page, which I'll show you right now. So as you can see here, you would go to these three ellipses at the top, and then you would go to Help, and you would go to About Chrome, and that's how you would see your version, 64-bit, 87. This is a more recent one, so it'll have all of that included. I'll have a link so that you can install that. So yeah, I'm just gonna copy the path that I have from my Chrome driver. This is where mine is saved, so yeah, just do the same for yours. If it's in your downloads folder, just make sure you have the correct path. So after we do this, after you have the path, we're going to use the driver. First, we're going to use this variable driver just to make it easy. And you'll probably want to add comments, but you know, for the sake of time, I'm just going to skip that. Since I'm typing terribly right now, my goodness. It's because my mic is positioned kind of awkwardly. Like, I don't normally type like this. Not that I'm the fastest typer in the first place, but, you know, I just need a bit of sympathy here, a bit of empathy. Implicitly. So, the first one, maybe I should try at least explaining a little bit. So, what this does is it takes the path of where it's saved, and it creates a Chrome web driver, which is what we'll be using to initiate the program. Implicitly wait. Three seconds. Or is it milliseconds? I think it's seconds. And that's, as you can see, it's just a wait, which is, it's really just an alternative to the time library, I believe. And this is the website, which will obviously be bing.com. I'll use HTTP just in case, which is the protocol. And I guess if you want to be really nitpicky, you could use www. But whatever. Alright, so what I did for my system, I really wanted to make a couple of functions. One for the searching, and one for the loop that allows you to just search 150 times. And of course, if you earn 5 points, meaning that you will only have to search for a fifth of that, which would be 30 times, then you can just close the program once you notice that it's reached its limit, which will be a fifth of the time, I'm sorry. So yeah, it works even better for you. And of course you can modify that. You can just change a couple of variables, which I'll show you in a second, but yeah, let's get started. So I'll call this sign. Let's make a function. The first thing we're going to do is tell Bing that once it arrives at the site, it's going to sleep, which is the first function from the time library, the sleep method, and it's going to sleep for 3 seconds. Oh look, it kind of details it right there. I don't know if PyCharm does that. I need to start using Python a bit more. Alright, we're going to create another variable using camel case called signin. And what this will be is the element that the driver finds. So find element by ID. I would recommend also learning a bit of HTML if you're, well, it's always good to have, especially for anything web scraping. But yeah, since every ID on a web page is unique, then it'll only be one element that has this unique ID, this unique identifier. As for classes, there can be multiple elements and variables that have the same class name. So yeah, just remember that difference. Sign in. We're going to call this click because once it finds the element, which is the sign in, where you enter your name and whatever else you need, then it's going to need to click it, of course, which is the function here. Oh, sorry. I'm still using semicolons. I've been using C# a lot recently, so yeah. Then it's going to sleep for, and you can shorten the time drastically. Like I'll make it I'm going to comment all the areas that I think that, you know, it's very optional for, like, where you can make adjustments. And this is one of them. So I'll just put optional for all of those. Optional there. Yeah, so that's a start. Okay, so that's the end of this method. And since Python uses annotation, we're going to call that method. And then we're going to sleep for... I use sleep a lot just to make sure that it doesn't load too fast, which is a... Or not too fast, I'm sorry, load too slow, that the function doesn't go through too fast, because let's say your web page is still loading, hasn't completely loaded, it won't find this element, which means it's going to throw an exception, and it won't reach the rest of your program. So it's best to sleep and just hold off a few seconds before trying anything like this. Alright, so after it sleeps, I call this first because it's the first movement we'll do. Actually, I won't call it that. I'll just call it search, I guess. I don't think I have anything called search. Oops. Sorry, let me add that back. That's also optional. Let's... Optional. Alright, so let's do it. Search. Let's call this... So this is another element finder. So we're going to find it by ID once again. I'm so glad that it's much easier for Bing since they use IDs far more often than Google, which will be a lot harder. But of course, I definitely want to try to make something for that as well. And these unique IDs that you see, they are in the page. So if they're changed, like, it's pretty simple to find another one. But Bing's had these for quite a while, so I'm kind of glad about that. Like Google, I think they changed theirs far more often than Bing, but these are fine. Once again, sorry for the slow typing. If you've been skipping through the video and you're like, wow, this guy types like a grandma. You're right. You're so right. So right now we're sending keys. And what this does, this has to be caps. So what we've just done is we've searched for the search box, which is what this is. And we're sending it the keys test, which is what's going to be entered in the actual box. So after we send it, then after we enter it into the search box, we're going to actually press the enter button, also known as the return key. And that's what this is. So we're going to make one more function. I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be here. I wonder if I'll leave it here just for the sake of having it here. And I'll change this to 30. I don't want the tutorial to go on that long. Or 20. So I'm going to call this loop, since this is the loop that it's going to be using. And we're going to use a for statement, or a for loop, which is one of the tested conditions. Or not tested, that's an if statement, I'm sorry. It's a count controlled loop. So between the ranges of 0 and 150, which like I said is different for a lot of people. Like once again, if you're earning 5 points per search, then you're gonna want to make this 30. But I'm going to have 150. I'm going to have 20, I guess, just to show you that it works. I wanted to search through all 150 of them without, like, you know. Anyway, for statement, let's call this arb for arbitrary. Sorry if this is extremely slow. I'm also feeling the slowness. So we're using the random library now. And what this does is it's using the randint function, which returns a random integer between the values of 1 and 300. Of course, that can be between 1 and 3 or as many as you want. This is definitely optional, by the way, so I'll make sure to include that. It can just be a standard integer if you want. It doesn't have to be a random. But like I said, oh yeah, let me put that up here as well, just so you know. It's optional. Okay, cool. All right, so now we're going to say a value. Once again, this is also optional. Let's have that. But actually, we can skip this. It doesn't really need to be here. I think I had that like previously, but I really don't need it. All right, so this is also going to be This one, I would say this is optional, but I'm going to include it just in case. Like, it's just a lot safer. And you'll see this on the subreddit all the time. Rand int 36. Alright, so what this does is, just like all of the other sleep methods, it sleeps for a certain amount of time, and what we've done is randomize it, so it's going to sleep between 3 to 6 seconds. Yeah. And that's also just to make sure that the page loads. And of course, if it doesn't, you'll get the exception. So let's call this, we're going to have ping, because, you know, it's once again searching. These are some strange names, I know. Best to go back and rename these. I'm just going to copy and paste this one, since it's the same thing. Alright, so what this is doing is really just finding the search bar again so that it can enter a new value. And since you found the search bar, you want to make sure it's empty. We're going to clear it, and then we're going to send it a few key values. So we're going to send it, let's send it, what did I call it? Arb? I called it arb. Maybe I should convert it to a string. No, I think this is fine. And of course, if it doesn't work, then we can just convert it anyway. But I believe that should be fine. Alright, we're just about done. There's only a few more lines left. We're going to sleep again. Like, this is really just to make sure that, well, no, we don't need to sleep again, actually. Sorry, I'm going off of, like, my old code, and I've been doing a lot of unnecessary sleeping. Also, IRL, since, you know, there's a lot more time to sleep, I suppose. Alright, so we're going to use this again, which is finding the go button, or the search button. This is really useful, and like I said, Bing uses a lot of IDs, which is really helpful. And then once you find the go button, you're going to, you guessed it, click it. So what we're doing now, we're now done with the function. We're out of the loops. We're out of the loop, and we're out of the other loop, the actually defined loop. And we're going to loop, because that's what it's called. And that's it. That is it. It's not much code, but it'll get you your basic points. The 150, once again, there will be another part, but I'm going to run this, obviously. Far too many tutorials don't actually, you know, run it. So let's save this as, and I'll just call this video demo. Alright. So the first thing it does is opens Google Chrome, a new Google Chrome. You can see I have another one open here. It opens a brand new one. It goes here, and it asks for your login, which I obviously didn't include for this video. Normally I would, but I don't want you guys seeing what it is, so yeah, you're not going to see what it is. And I gave it 20 seconds to allow me enough time to log in. But of course, if you still don't log in, like let's say that you forgot you were running it, then yeah, it won't work. So we're going to wait out the 20 seconds. How's your day? How's it going? And we'll see if it worked in a second. If it does, we should see integers, like entered, and then cleared, and then entered, and then cleared about 150 times. And then the program stops. Unless it failed. It did fail. See? Okay, so this is good to see. The first key is test. Send keys test. First, oh my gosh, I did something stupid, right? I bet you guys already noticed that I used first instead of search. First hiccup. Let's change that and let's run it again. Super basic. Oh, and you probably should close out the old ones, since I tend to forget to do that. Let me type in my email again. Like I said, you normally don't have to do that, and I don't do that on my the one that I use. But of course, I'm not going to do it for the tutorial, since, you know, I don't want you guys seeing. Wow, this is a 20-minute tutorial. I don't think it should have lasted that long. Alright, so as you can see, test. It sends test first, and then it should just start using, yup, integers, waits a few seconds, integer, waits a few seconds. And like I said, it's random, so this is why it's perfect. It's not really just search, wait, search, wait. It's search, wait. Search, wait, search, wait. Search, wait. It's like it's really unpredictable, which makes it much more human-like, I would suppose. I mean, it's not like advanced or anything like that. You're just waiting between 2 and 8 seconds, but you know, it's better than waiting 0 seconds and either having the program crash or Microsoft detect that, hey, you're the most obvious bot I've ever seen. And I really don't feel like having this Bing account banned. I've already had a couple of other ones, but that's before I even started automating. So yeah, you get the pretty much get the idea. I've already earned all my credits, which is why you don't see it going up any. As you can see, 150. I used it earlier this morning. I probably should have waited, but hey, what are you going to do? Anyway, yeah. If you guys have any issues or any problems, feel free to either comment. I'll be looking over those, or you can just message me personally. I'll have like my socials in the description and on my page. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Take care.